It's been... Well, it's been a long time since I last did one of these. Oh, sorry. When was the last time I did a live show thing? That was... It was a few days ago. No, it wasn't a few days ago. It was a few months ago? It was some time last year. And then I kind of stopped. Because I was busy with offline stuff. So, what has been going on? Well, ever since 2018 ended, there's been some good things and there's been some bad things. How do I put it? That's a double-edged sword. On one hand, I feel a lot happier this year than I did in 2017 or 16, so that's saying a lot. I got a cool-looking pinafore for Christmas, and I looked quite cute in it. I got a few CDs, books, and stuff for Christmas. Currently trying to read a Bowie book at the moment. I have two of them. One was written around the time of his death. This isn't really getting anywhere. Well, this is a darn shame. All the other shows I would do before this had a lot more energy. But I've also been very busy with college stuff. So, with college stuff, we've finished first semester, and now we're doing second semester. So we went from, let's say, for example, with my planning and pitching class. For semester 1, we had to pitch a film of our choice, and make, posters and stuff for it. So I chose Drop Dead Fred. And for planning and pitching for semester 2, we have to make a kid's storybook. And what we're thinking of doing is doing a story... Hi, Sabrina! We're thinking of doing the story where it's about a... Yes. Hi, multi-spandom trash. Or Rick, from what I know your Discord name is. I'm not that active on there. Well, I am active on Discord, just not on that server. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the storybook. So this kid, he's going for these different music stores, because he wants to know what instrument he's good at. He ends up being good at the piano. And there's going to be different people in the different genre-based music shops. One of them is going to be loosely based on Freddie Mercury. Except instead of being called Freddie Mercury, he's called Ted Saturn. I know. Yeah. Yeah. What else has been going on? Oh, web. I think I need to show you guys what I've been doing for web. For web design. Web design was a class I used to not really like, but I like it now, because we get to make our own websites for second semester. My website is a David Bowie-based website. Let's see if I can show you. Oh, the quality's a bit iffy, and there you go! That photo of Bowie, I recreated on Illustrator. The Lazarus star, I recreated on Illustrator. The enemy logo, I recreated on Illustrator. And the lightning bolt. And the text. Graphic design is my passion. Yeah. Seriously, though, it is my passion. So, what else has been happening? Well, a little stuff has been happening. Oh, apologies, I got a Facebook message. Stuff has been happening. And, I think I'll just talk about the stuff that's been happening that I do want to talk about. So... well, I might get the chance to see Rocky Horror at the end of March. which is gonna be amazing because I love Rocky Horror Picture Show so much. And, what else am I doing? Oh, yes. And, there's a bar in Belfast. Belfast, for those of you who aren't from Northern Ireland, Belfast is the capital city of this country. So it's like our equivalent to, say, London or Paris or whatever. Okay, so there's this pub called McHugh's, never heard of it, but one of my buds from performing arts is, like, doing a mic night, open mic night there. And I might get to perform my poetry or my comedy monologues there, and it's just gonna be amazing! Because, well, I'll be showing my work to a wider audience. And it'll be, like, my first sort of experience being a poet or being a stand-up person. It would give me an idea of the atmosphere that Rick was, like, around when he was doing the comic strip stuff. And it's just gonna be fantastic, and I can't wait! But that's not until the end of March, so have to be patient. What else has been going on? Oh yeah, my Instagram. Okay, you guys! Okay, some of you know that I used to make very weird selfies. Weird selfies where I would make facial expressions. Facial expressions very similar to, say, facial expressions that Rick or Mick Jagger and all would make, like... Or. Yeah, that. Weird, I know. And, I recently learned that that is quite weird and unsettling to people that don't really know the context of those faces. And I need to remember that while performing arts is a side thing now, I'm not doing it as my main thing anymore. My Instagram is not my acting portfolio, so I should stop treating it like it. Which I think you could see from my message, if you can't see that here. Yeah, I think that clarifies why. Yeah. So that's gonna, well, not stop, but like it'll stop on my Instagram. The weird selfies will end up on my Twitter or Tumblr, because that's where a lot of my British comedy enthusiast people, talk at. Even though today they're more inactive than usual. And I don't like that. I mean, today's an iconic day. I mean, let's see. It's International Book Day. Love my books, love my Ronald Dahl, love my Jacqueline Wilson. It was the day that Young Americans by David Bowie was released, one of his underrated works. Boys and Girls, or Girls and Boys by Blur was released, one of my favorite Britpop songs. And it was the day that Rick Mail was born. And if any of you who are into British comedy know him, or me, I love that dude so flippin' much. He's like the British comedy equivalent of, say, Freddie Mercury or David Bowie. I mean, that's a bit of a strange comparison, but considering they're both people that are iconic and full of charismatic energy and just are icons, yeah, I'd say so. So, what did David Bowie or Freddie Mercury have to do with Rick Mail? Well, there was a heavy metal band a long time ago called Bad News. And Bad News was a parody heavy metal band. It wasn't an actual heavy metal band. They were made intentionally to make bad music. And Brian May co-produced some of the stuff that Bad News would work on. And Bad News, while yes, a lot of their aesthetics at the time were based off a lot of the heavy metal bands, some of their aesthetics were kind of taken from early Queen. There was also a comic strip film made about it, and it was kind of like the first half of Bo Rap, as in the bits where they're in the recording sort of area, and they're arguing, and there's the joke about Roger wanting to do his car. Okay, not specifically that, but the fact that they argue but still get along, in a way. Yeah. Right, here's the people from Bad News. Some of you know Bad News, some of you don't. So let's see, we've got Colin, we've got Spider, we've got Vim, and we've got Den. Den would be the Brian May of the group. He is played by Nigel Planner. For those of you who don't know British comedy, he played the narrator in Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids, that horror-themed kids show on CITV late at night. Vim, he's the Roger Taylor of the group, and he's played by Ade Emmondson. He was in Star Wars. He was the guy that said, "He's tooling of you, sir," to General Hux. And Spider, you probably wouldn't know Spider. He's Peter Richardson. He did a lot of the comic strip stuff. Comic strip, they were a series of film parody things made back in the 1980s. And then there's Colin. Rick. The birthday boy! Birthday man! Whatever. Lord of Misrule. Lord. God. Comedy. However he wants to be addressed. Happy 61 birthday, you'll get. Right, let's see. Ah, yes. So, that is Vim there, and that is Ade. And then you have Den, and you have that Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids character that he played. And this Fred tells you a bit more about him. And then you have Peter Richardson and Spider. And then finally, the birthday boy himself. Rick's part of the Fred. Speaking of Fred, Drop Dead Fred. He played Drop Dead Fred, by the way. He played Drop Dead Fred, King Arthur. King Arthur is in King Arthur's Disasters, which was a kid's show that used to be on. The Andrex puppy, the puppy in those Andrex adverts. Lord Flashheart, he was in Blackadder. He played that loud Flashheart guy, amongst many other colorful characters. Unfortunately, on June 9th, 2014, he passed away due to an acute cardiac event. He would be 61 now. Why? Yeah. Here's a cute photo of him in a hat. Here's a photo of him at an awards ceremony. And him as Colin. Yeah. Icon. Lord of Misrule will always be in our hearts, entertaining people up there, occasionally visiting Earth to see his old friends, and just being a good mate to everyone. And I used to have that photo as my Twitter photo. As you can see, I've changed it a bit, but I still have the young one's background. Of course I do. I also changed my pin post as well. Thought it needed a bit of a change. What else is there that has happened that I can talk about? Well, I love Queen. Well, technically I used to be not that into Queen, but that was because I didn't know as many of their songs as I know now. But then, the more documentaries I watched, I think it was actually Radio Gaga that got me into Queen, because I heard it on the radio, and at first I would originally, associate Queen with, royal sort of events, or government, events, so church music, that kind of vibe. But then when I heard Radio Gaga on the radio, I realized, hey, that's a pretty good song. Who sung that? Oh, Queen. Yeah. Speaking of Queen, look at Freddie Mercury and his cats. Oscar and Tiffany. Aw. He actually named one of his songs after one of his cats. Delilah. Aw. Joe Mazzello and Ryan from High School Musical. Richard E. Grant, he's a nice fellow. Let's see. Anything here? Oh, look at the Sonic fan art. It's adorable. And as for that Sonic art that is in that new film that's coming out soon, not impressed. At all. No. Why do you do this? Dairy Girls, oh yeah, that came back. I love Dairy Girls. Let's see, more Queen stuff. I love Queen Sim stuff, but I love their 70s era too, as well as Innuendo and A Kind of Magic. They're such underrated albums, but Roger's solo stuff is good too. Sir, if this is McDonald's. Me. That would be me. Let's see. Why? Why do you do this? Could you not? No! Sonic is not supposed to look like that! No! Helena Bonham Carter! She was in a film with Rick called Dancing Queen. One of my favorite, if not my favorite, romantic comedy of all time. Oh, hey, Ash. Just talking about stuff. Oh, Moomins. Moomins. I sort of knew what Moomins were, because I used to be in Hitalia. Used to be into Hitalia. Hitalia. Weird anime about countries. Yeah. Moomins are kind of like the Finland equivalent of Hello Kitty. Apparently they're coming back too. And they're so pure. I mean, look at that! How can you say no to that little face? Oh, yeah. What else do we have? A lizard. Lizards are cute. And Salem. And me. And Bowie and Freddy. Of course. Oh, what else? Just remembered. What was I watching? Oh, Umbrella Academy. Umbrella Academy is good, but sometimes it's a bit too slow-paced for my liking. But I still love Klaus. Klaus, not Klaus. Klaus. Klaus is my son. Queer Eye, that's gonna be coming back on soon. Cannot wait for that! I'm so excited. Let's see, Kate Bush. Love Kate Bush. Oh! Forgot to tell you this. Okay. Do you vaguely remember in, like, the early 2010s when people would make lookbooks and style books? Well, I decided to make one of my own. So, yeah. This is basically the kind of look goals I kind of want to achieve when it comes to aesthetic stuff to do with fashion and makeup and all that. So, hair-wise, let's see. This is what my hair looks like at the moment. It looks short. It's not. It's just semi-long. Got it cut a while back. It's not that different, to be honest. I would like it if it was naturally like this. Short. But I actually have a ponytail behind here. So, if my hair was more like, say, Winona Ryder, particularly Winona Ryder in the film Girl Interrupted, then yes please. That, and the fringe that Rick had in the 1980s, because, I mean, look goals, to be honest. And other hair goals. Noel Fielding. Could not get the accurate photo I was looking for, but one time when he was doing QI, he had a look that reminded me of the Ramones, and that's kind of the look I want to go for. Because I like multiple subcultures. I'm not specifically just a punk, a goth, a metalhead. I'm all of those! So I want to work in all those different styles into my life. And David Bowie. Because he's David flippin' Bowie. And of course Queen. Roger Taylor, Freddie Mercury. Love those two. Yes. Oh yeah, and the makeup. Forgot to mention the makeup. Okay. Janet Majors. From Shock Treatment, not Rocky Horror. Janet Majors was part of the couple from Rocky Horror. Except in Shock Treatment, she's played by a different actress. She's played by Jessica Harper. And, well, none of you know who Jessica Harper is. If you look up her name, you'll see she looks a little bit like Tina Fey. That's the only real thing I can say about her other than the fact that she was in Suspiria. Yeah, that horror film that came out last year, Suspiria, that was a remake. Yeah, it's about ballet and witches and rituals and stuff. Stevie Nicks Paradise. And we have Annie Lennox from the Eurythmics. Love the Eurythmics. Kim Wilde. Yes, always loved Kim Wilde, but I didn't really see her, like, music videos when I listened to her music. To be honest, she looks a bit like the good side of Trisha Paytas, if that makes any sense. Unpopular opinion, I don't really like Trisha Paytas, she's overrated. But when it comes to the Trisha Paytas that was nice, before all the drama with, what was it, David Dobrik or whoever it was she was with? Yeah, something like that. But hey, Kim Wilde is still adorable, still iconic, still everything. Debbie Harry, love her. Kat Dennings, I used to kind of watch Two Broke Girls, and I just, yes. Just yes. And then the classic cinema stars. Marilyn Monroe, I've always loved her. Technically, I found out about her through collector Barbie dolls, but still, love her. Kind of relate to her in parts, too. And Rita Hayworth, she's kind of more underrated. She's kind of like Marilyn Monroe, but she's Hispanic. And she's also quite talented as well. Marina from Marina and the Diamonds, love her. And who's that? That's Sharon Tate. May she rest in peace. I used to like Bridget Bardot, but then I recently found out that she's a bit of a twit, so yeah, I don't really like her anymore. Oh, if you're wondering what it was. Bridget Bardot, she used to be this famous model or actress in like the classic cinema era, but recently she's been a bit of a, well, I'm not sure if she's a Trump supporter, but I know she's been harassing Muslims in France. And like, no! No, no, no! Just because someone looked pretty back in the day, that didn't mean they had a pretty personality to go along with it. Basically, Bridget Bardot is the American Katie Hopkins. I can't believe I just said that, but yeah. I just got a message. It's from people noticing the Rick post I made. Okay, what else do we have? Oh, those Shaggy memes. I implemented Shaggy memes into one of my comedy monologues. Yeah. I finally contributed to one of those LGBT Twitter tag things, but it was kind of slept on, so yeah, that's kind of sad. What else is going on my Twitter? Oh, that's cool art. Let's see. When I'm listening to the Cranberries, I'll never forget you, Dolores. Well, she was a talented person, yes. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, this dude from Zelda. Don't get me started. Freddie Mercury just being Freddie Mercury. Me? Oh, yes, that, sexual orientation test. That was a bit of a thing, wasn't it? Yeah, I took it. This is what it said. Yeah, I'm bi, and I don't care anything. I'm bi, and that's who I am. I used to think I was pan, and kind of still am, but I'm bi. Yeah. Let's see, what else? Jimi Hendrix. That's a nice photo. Ducks and frozen peas. Gobble, 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 gobble. Animals. Audrey Hepburn. Icon. Freddie Mercury. Oh wait, this one, this post. No offense, but how dare you? Innuendo is a fantastic album. I'm going psych mad. Innuendo, Delilah, These Are the Days of Our Lives, and The Show Must Go On are incredible works of art. And then you have an angry Freddie Mercury photo. Well, I mean, that is a mood. Innuendo is quite an underrated Queen album, I must say. What else has been going on? I made a poem about Freddie Mercury. But I probably shouldn't say it on here, because that would spoil the surprise if I end up saying it at the, Mike Night thing I might be doing at the end of March, so, yeah. I'm lost for ideas. Okay, so... Oh yeah, Jonas Brothers are coming back. Yeah. Sad. life. Freddy. More Freddy. You can't get enough Freddy on my page. Oh, yes. I am no fielding trash, and almost everyone that I see on Twitter or Tumblr or Instagram, they usually have a cool-looking shirt, which sometimes is reminiscent of a no fielding shirt. Like, say you have a bunch of penguins on your shirt, or you have a bunch of kitchen appliances on your shirt. I want those shirts. I know they're weird, I know they're kitsch, but I can rock them. Does anyone know of places in Northern Ireland that have no fielding type of shirts? I'm really trying to look, but you can't really find them in many places here. Which is a darn shame. Speaking of shirts, I'm hoping to get a Queen shirt soon. But they were out of stock when I first found them. Yeah. Roger just sitting. Prince. Freddy. Meme. A lot of stuff. Oh! Oh! Who is more overrated? Matt Lucas? Jamie Oliver? Or Graham Lyman? Jamie Oliver won, apparently! They're both tossers. Let's see. Oh yeah, an Aquaria apparently roasted Theresa May one time. That was interesting. Jamila Jamil, she's from The Good Place. And, she's gonna change feminism for the better. So, hopefully, that will change the world. Diana is a mood, as usual. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have Bowie looking cute. We have Roger Taylor looking cute. We have Bowie thinking he's in a car, but he's not. He's just being cringy. We have that gif of the penguin weeing itself on the sofa of one of the Queen music videos. I have a weird sense of humor, okay? Dermot Morgan, he played Father Ted. May he rest in peace. Yeah, a lot of stuff is here. I like a lot of different things, and I like researching about a lot of different things. I could go from posting about classic cinema, to posting about classic rock, to posting about RuPaul, all in the same day. That's just how vast my interests are, if that's the word. I'm getting kind of bored here. Is there anything? Anything at all? Oh, yes! Is it okay if I could read fanfiction on Instagram? Not sure if I should read fanfiction on Instagram. I'll give it a go. Right. You all know what fanfiction is. Okay. Fanfiction... Ah. This one's good. Yeah. Ignore that top one. Right. Rick and Aid. Rick and Aid, Rick Mail, and Aid Edmondson. Rick being the dude I've been talking about for the past few minutes, and Aid being his partner, his comedy partner. Aid was married to Jennifer Saunders, who played the fairy in Shrek 2. Okay. This is one of those stories where, because it's not really connected to their characters in any way, I think I can still read it. Okay. It was the mid-1980s. Rick Mail and Aid Edmondson were a duo of British comedians who were becoming quite popular. Usually they'd be full of ideas, attacking each other in the form of slapstick or physical comedy, or reenacting plays to each other. This time they were at the local pub, trying to think of jokes to write. Aid stuffed his cigarette in the cigarette bowl on the table. I can do sort of good impressions of them, but I need to be in the right mood to do so. Alright, let's see. Yeah, I think this works, maybe. Yeah. Sorry, did I scare you? Wait, hang on. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay. I think we've finished the script now, we should be going. Rick chuckled to himself as he drank more of his beer. Alright. But what about this? Instead of the cure, what about the cold? That is a real band, by the way. I checked. He stared back at his best friend, who looked quite pissed.
Don't be stupid. Besides, the Cold already exist. They're an underground new wave band.
True. Rick let out a yawn. All right. At least we're done now. He stumbled out of his chair. No, mate, you're not driving tonight. He made a snarling facial expression. Let's see. Aid, I'm fine. Aid turned his head.
How much have you had to drink?
He looked confused. When haven't I had a drink today? And why are you slagging me off? You drink just as much as me. Aid had enough. He grabbed Rick by the shoulder and dragged him over outside to where his car was parked. Well, it's a mouthful. Get in, he bluntly said, as he opened the car door waiting for his intoxicated pal to come to his senses. Rick whined as he folded his hands over dramatically. You can't make me. I'm the one who drives. Aid rolled his eyes.
If you drove this car, we would crash and I'd have to pay the damages.
Fine, he groaned, as he clambered into the car and sat frowning. Halfway through the ride, however, he had dozed off. Aid had let go of the steering wheel and stopped the engine. He nudged Rick's shoulder to awaken him.
Rick, you there?
Rick couldn't hear him. He was too busy enjoying a dream, as he lay his head against the seat. Aid asked again.
Earth to Rick, bastard male. Can you hear me?
Rick let out a yawn. What do you want? He calmly said. Aid took out a cigarette and smoked for a bit. I apologize, this is horrendous grammar.
You're home. We went out drinking. Barbara's waiting for you.
Barbara, by the way, is his wife. That made him smile. He almost nodded off again. He caught hold of Aid's shoulder as they walked up to the front door. Aid explained.
Sorry, Barbara, another late writing session.
He got too drunk and I had to drive him home. Barbara nodded. Oh dear. Don't worry, Aid. I'll look after him. I apologize. My accent is going on and off. It's like a light switch. Aid rolled his eyes.
Yeah, he's been doing my head in all night.
My Aid voice is not the best today. Please excuse that. Barbara smirked.
He probably likes riding with you. You're like a brother to him.
Aid coughed. Well, we are comedy partners. He already has a brother. But I guess I can see what you mean. Good night. Before Rick fell to the ground again, he glanced at Aid, waving back at him, before giving Barbara a kiss. Oh, that's adorable, and it probably did happen, considering whenever they would write, they would always get drunk before the writing process. So, yeah. This next one is a bit sad, so warning ya. Okay. Am I really gonna read all of that? Yes. Yes, I am. Should I read it in the Rick voice entirely? Yes. Yes, I will. It was the end of the 1990s. The new millennium was just beyond the horizons, and Rick and Aid were not young ones anymore. Aid had been doing some solo work between the Bottom Live shows, and Rick had been in a few films, while recently finishing the Guest House Paradiso movie. For those who don't know, there was a show called Bottom that they did. It was kind of like the anime Panty and Stocking, but gender bent. And Guest House was their film adaptation for it. So, I might have to tilt my phone to, get the text right. Let's see. Yeah. They were going for a walk with each other through Aid's sheep farm. They'd have the odd cigarette and joke with each other, but the atmosphere was a bit different. They looked at each other while holding each other's hands as they stepped through the grassy fields. While they still enjoyed working together, a particular incident had happened recently that changed things. Warning, this next bit involves some real-life stuff that happened to him. Ever since Rick recklessly crashed a quad bike and almost died. Spoiler alert, he dies years later. That is what happened in real life. Something was odd about him. He was still the same chill, relaxed bloke as before, but he was more sensitive. His brain was affected a lot by the incident, so a lot of the stunts that he would have done in the past he couldn't do anymore. He had seizure-type symptoms, but he wasn't going to let that stop him from doing what he loved best. It was still hard to come to terms with, though. While he had accepted it, he didn't like that he couldn't do what he could before. He was missing his old days. When he and Aid would shock each other, whack the other on the head, and amaze millions with their antics. It was a melancholy sort of feeling. He rarely felt depressive, but underneath that projected ego, he felt weaker. He didn't like that. He didn't like how with interviews some people would speak to him like he was stupid, or address him as if he was a child and not a middle-aged adult man. That did unfortunately happen with some interviews. A lot of the interviewers would sound quite condescending when addressing him. For Aid, he was still trying to process what had happened. Some scenes would be harder to film. They would do more action/drama-related content, but it just wasn't the same. Well, Aid had other friends besides Rick. Rick was the person he performed with most of the time. Rick had made many pals in the show business, but they had pals of their own too. He felt more alone. Even between the many voiceover gigs, Jesus Christ Superstar, and the book deal he got, later on, he felt lost. He'd draw and listen to music to fill in that void, while also spending time with his children and wife. It was really empty. Even in his book there were pages of self-deprecation. If you've ever read Rick's book, you know what I mean. Sometimes he'd visit Aid's sheep farm and watch him pet the lambs and sheep he had now raised. It still felt empty. As the 2010s came near, drama happened. He shrugged it off, but he wished that Aid understood. Looking at him at that time, and before, still being able to have good memory, still being able to make people laugh, still being able to have a consistent social life. At least he didn't have the press harassing him, or have a life-changing accident. Lucky bastard. There was one good time, though. Oh, no, Rick voice, of course. They were sitting in deck chairs, like they would have in the 70s or 80s, joking about the good old days, while they had cola instead of alcohol in hand. It felt nice. Unfortunately, his heart couldn't take the stress. Bad health effects, and his candle had burnt out years later. Aid had kept his contact on his phone. Their shows are still available to watch and stream. Comedy is still an active medium, but it just hasn't been the same. What is going on with this lighting? What is going on with this lighting? Sorry. But it just hasn't been the same since he left. Hopefully, we can help keep that memory alive. And there you go. My throat is dry from all that flippin' reading. Yeah. More Bowie, of course. I love Bowie. I love Rick too, but yeah, I love them both, really. Oh yes, and I also, redesigned the layout of my Tumblr. Yeah. Pretty cool, am I right? Okay, let's see if we can look up some photos of Rick, since, it's his special day and all that, so let's see. Oh, what a cutie patootie he was. Well, I think some of you probably don't think so. But we all have our preferences. That's him giggling after messing up one of his lines while playing his character in the show Bottom. Richie Rich. No, Richie, or Richard. Yeah. One of the characteristics he would have is he would always give the fingers the UK equivalent of the middle finger. That's his starred character. He was a politician, stereotype thing. He looks a bit like Gene Wilder in that. And we have that post again. I accidentally posted it twice. Here's a nice photo of him just looking normal, if normal is even a word to describe him. Him during an interview. Oh, that wee face. I cannot resist. Dancing Queen. Dancing Queen was a film he did with Helena Bonham Carter. One of my favorite, if not my favorite, romantic comedy of all time. Oh, they're so cute together. That style book, I already showed you that. Oh wait, no. I forgot this bit. When I was showing the style book, I forgot to mention the RuPaul queens I'm inspired by. Sharon Needles, Jigs Monsoon, Bianca. Reminds me a bit of Betty Boop sometimes. And Katya. I might get to see Bianca in September. We'll see. Fashion! Johnny Rotten's fashion. He was a style icon. Don't judge me. Bowie and Mercury. Yeah. Oh yeah, this was an interesting dream. Okay. Okay, do you ever get dreams that are like so realistic that it feels like you're in another dimension? Yeah, I get that a lot. At some point in my lucid dream, Rick, Bowie, and Freddie were in a RuPaul type of scenario. They were reading each other and having arguments. Then, Eddie Monsoon, from Absolutely Fabulous, Joan Rivers, old American comedian, and Patsy Stone joined in to watch the drama. And Michael Jackson was trying to get them to calm down. One of my best lucid dreams yet. Oh my, that would have been iconic. More Rick and Aid stuff, I already mentioned that. Oh wait. You know that meme where, like, no... That was a Tumblr post, you weren't supposed to see that. One time I was posting a meme, and it was one of those memes where you tell your friends to quote you, like say something that they think you'd say. And one of my American friends said this. Yeah, I'd say that's accurate. I mean, I have written like 5 poems about him, so yeah. With this one, he was supposed to be wearing a dressing gown, he ended up looking like an anime dude in a kimono. Oh well. He is technically the dude equivalent of Princess Serenity. Oh, this photo. This photo is technically based off an old photo of him when he was 17. I'm 17. But with Rick, he's one of the few celebrities where there's not any photos of him from his childhood, surprisingly. So if you were to look at photos of Rick, you'd only really get photos of his later years, or of him in his 20s or 30s, and then that photo of him when he's 17. And that is literally it. Outside of a few photos that are shown in a documentary about him, called Lord of Misrule, quite good, I'd recommend it, he does not have any childhood photos on the internet. Yeah, so I don't have any clue what he looked like as a little boy, but that's fine. So this particular photo is based off one of him when he was 17. Oh, and that photo is right below there. We kind of skipped it. Hang on. Wait for it. There he is. Look at his wee face. Oh. And I'm guessing that's his parents' farm. His parents were drama teachers, but he lived near a farm as a kid, so yeah. More drawings of him. I rarely draw ears, so it looks weird in that one. What else do we have? Nurse characters. His young ones characters in Nurse. For those of you who know Rocky Horror and the film Shock Treatment, he was in that. He played a nurse. Richie Rich was a character from a show he did called Filth Rich and Cat Flap. Dressed up as a nurse. It's a weird thing, okay? I just like dressing up characters in different scenarios like that. And then there's one of me and him. Because sometimes, because of how much of an idol he is to me, I feel a spiritual kind of connection with him as well. So he's sort of a philosophical figure to me too, so that's me. And him next to me. Because we're both people's poets. He's the one of the 20th century, I'm the one of the 21st century. Cute. Ah, yes. Could not agree more with that list. Mood. Drop Dead Fred. Oh, for those of you who don't know Drop Dead Fred, it's a film. It's about this imaginary friend guy called Drop Dead Fred. He tries to help this woman who's trying to move on from her sad childhood. And, yeah. And the way he acts is kind of like Peter Pan. In a way. Yeah. Let's see. Him looking through a window. Here's a weird one. Sir, what are you doing with that fishing pole? Oh my, one of these. Imagine, it's the mid-1980s. You're an actor or media producer, and you've been accepted into the industry, and you get accepted into the Grit Show Club. For those of you who don't know, the Grit Show Club is an exclusive club in England, and it's for people that work in entertainment. People like Noel Fielding and all have been there. You're walking around the dance floor, and you see a 20-something-year-old Rick Mail. What do you say? I don't know what I'd say! I mean, a lot of my dreams involve what I'd say. We would probably talk about ABBA and Madness, those were his favorite bands at the time. And, we would talk about political stuff as well, because he also hated Thatcher. What else would we do? We would dance. We would dance a lot. I like that. Oh, it's him when he was younger. He was in his mid-20s. His wee face. He looks so young there. Stupid Facebook. Oh, that one's a bit weird. That was one of his first magazine covers. Oh, look! The enemy! The enemy! Oh, yes, and John Deacon from Queen, if you don't know him, he was the other guitar person. Not Brian May, there was another guitar person in Queen. He was called John Deacon, but then he left. Because he did not get over Freddie's death and he wanted to live a more private life. Apparently, John Deacon and Rick both live in, what is it? It's southwest London? Yes, southwest London. Except Rick is dead now. But John Deacon and him might have lived in the same neighborhood. You never know. It could have happened. They could have talked a few times. You never know. That's sad. Oh, wait. This meme. For those who haven't seen, there's a meme where, like, the first person goes, not all men, and then you have to say your favorite, like, character or actor who is a dude that you would say is not that problematic, that you love with your heart, and just, yeah. So person, not all men, me. You're right. Rick Mail would never. Well, he was a feminist, so, oh yeah, he was a feminist as well. Because when he was doing stand-up stuff with the comic strip, which consisted of, like, Jennifer Saunders and Dawn French and all, when he found out that they were being paid less than the dudes were, because pay gap stuff, he actually went against that. He wanted the female comedians to be paid the same amount. So yeah, we love a feminist icon. And that's him from Jesus Christ Superstar. He played King Herod. That was in the 2000s remake of it. Ah, yes, and I dream about him sometimes. Not sure if this is too personal to say, but there's different forms. There's his angel self, there's his dog dad self. I'll just explain this, okay? Pretty prophet. Usually an angel gown or white suit with gold assets. So, basically Sailor Moon. He looks kind of like a male version of Sailor Moon. Yep, we know. Can fly, blessed, literally, loves animals, is very calming and chill, kind and quiet, thinks about philosophy. Like the real-life person, yeah. Dog dad. Dog dad. Dog dad is usually seen outside, depicted in a park or lounge. He loves dogs the same way Freddie Mercury loves cats. He smokes, he walks dogs. If he's indoors, he wears plain sweaters or Hawaiian shirts. Like what Rick used to wear in real life. And the thing with dogs, Rick was also in the kids show Who Let the Dogs Out. He narrated it for the first few seasons before, what did you call him? Ian Sterling or whatever took over from him after that. And then my favorite form of his, Grandpa Male. Always serving tea. Minimalist. Prankster. Has time travel abilities. Can revert back to his old self. Still listens to his old records. Gives good advice. Talks about his good old days. Sometimes plays Nintendo Wii when bored. Remember those? Oh, those were so fun back in the day. Occasionally goes to clubs. Social media star. Loves visitors. Very caring and considerate. I love that form of his. And I wrote a poem about him. But then again, I've written like 5 or 6 of them, so yeah. I kind of also wrote a personal letter about him. I would read it, but my voice is already dry from reading all the rest of it. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, okay. Okay. Alright, we'll address the sexuality thing. Okay. You know how there's the whole thing with Freddie Mercury where some people are like, no, he's gay, other people are like, no, he's bi, and I'm like, he was whoever he was, he loved whoever he loved. Whatever. Well, with Rick, one of the things with his shows, a lot of it was kind of buried under subtext, but some of his characters were quite LGBT as well. And let's see what I mean by that. Okay. Let's start with Lord Flashheart. Lord Flashheart, that's the dude there in the jacket. In Blackadder, the episode that he's in, he befriends a person named Bob, but Bob's real name is Kate, or whatever her, original name was. And she is a girl, but she also wants to be more of a guy, so either non-binary or androgynous, whichever the Blackadder creators intended. And she originally falls in love with Blackadder, but then it doesn't go well, because when Flashheart shows up, he takes her from Blackadder. But there's an interesting line where Bob goes, well, you see, I actually quite like wearing boys' clothes. And then Flashheart goes, weird, I feel more comfortable in a dress, or something like that. And then it ends with Flashheart taking Bob, falling in love with Bob, and Flashheart in the dress as they leave the wedding. Yeah. So that was a good example of LGBT representation in Blackadder, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Let's see, what else do we have here? Richie. Okay, Richie. Richie from Bottom. Bottom's like the anime panty stocking, but if they were not angels, and if they were dudes instead of girls. So, Richie, okay, Richie! Richie from Bottom. Okay. I'll get photos of that. These dudes, I love these dudes so much. Okay. Richie and Eddie, okay. Richie, okay, he is a disaster. But we can all relate to that. Richie is basically me if I was a 30-year-old man. So if that is something easy to interpret. And Richie lives with his flatmate, Eddie Hitler, the dude in the glasses. And they argue a lot. They definitely argue a lot. But they never leave each other because they're also good mates. And they do a lot of stuff. And there was even an episode where they pretended to be a married couple. So let's see if I can get a photo of that. I think there's a photo of it somewhere. Ah, got it. Yes. Yes, Eddie looks exactly like Trixie Mattel from RuPaul. I know! Shush. So, Richie and Eddie, they disguise themselves as a married couple. It doesn't go too well. And, with Richie, yeah. He's nice, but he's a bit ditzy sometimes. But he still loves Eddie. And while it's not explicitly stated, well, outside of the stage shows, they do love each other in that way. I mean, they wouldn't admit it on the show, of course, but it is hidden in the subtext and through their characters' chemistry and stuff together that they do quite like each other in a more than friends kind of way. Or at least that's how I interpret it. And there were also stage shows made of Bottom. Yeah, Bottom was such a successful TV show back in the 90s that they had live shows done. So, let's see. Bottom life. There's not many good photos on here. Oh well, all we know is that Richie and Eddie, they are a happy a couple living on the streets of Hammersmith, and I support them. Oh yes, and there was one scene in one of the live shows, I mentioned the live shows, I just couldn't get any good photos of them. In one of the live shows, Richie is talking about his preferences for someone he wants to fall in love with. And one of the preferences is, I think it's either preferences or things to describe himself with. And he says trans as one of them. Interpret that how you will. Okay. Next, Rick from The Young Ones. I've mentioned this character so much. Even people that don't know British comedy that much, like old British comedy and know like IT Crowd and Peep Show and all, but not The Young Ones, they know that character because of me. Because I am that character. Okay, so the thing with Rick is there's a guy called Vivian in The Young Ones. He is a bit of a metalhead, a bit of a punk, and he looks a bit like Pennywise. He fights the Rick character a lot, but they also quite like each other as well. So, kind of like the chemistry between Richie and Eddie, except for older teen / young adult sort of, age demographic. And there's literally a scene where Rick is like, I bet you fancy me, is that it? And then Vivian goes, yes, I really, really fancy you. Make of that what you will, yeah. Richie Rich, why is he there? Why is he there? He's a dude. Why? Oh, yeah, because he and Catflap, they have a similar kind of relationship, but Catflap's more of a minder, so it's kind of like Black Butler in a way. Like Black Butler, but if it was set in English showbiz and not English aristocracy, or however you pronounce that. Let's see, what else do we have? Alan Bastard. Okay, Alan Bastard, he's the politician guy I mentioned. In the first season of The New Statesman was a show that made fun of the conservative government at the time, there is a character called Norma. He only really appears in the first season. And he is an accountant. He befriends Alan, but he is also a trans woman trying to transition from a dude to a woman. And even though Alan is one of the biggest flippin' Tories you've ever met, Alan actually goes along with it. Alan and Norma actually work quite well together. Which is why it disappointed me so much that Norma wasn't in the next few seasons, but yeah. That and Alan and his assistant Pierce have a bit of interesting interactions with each other. What else? What other characters have we not mentioned yet? The rest, I could not think of much to say about them. But yeah, Rick himself, he might have been bi. People probably thought he was straight. But I'm pretty sure he was bi. He was probably bi or ace. There is the possibility that he was just straight, but in a Bowie sort of way, if that makes any sense. I'm not saying much stuff that makes sense today, I'm sorry. Had a bit of a long day. So, yeah, he was possibly bi. Possibly. Because when he would work with Aid, the way he would talk about their, relationship, as, buds who worked together, but also hung out together, he did describe it the same way some people would describe their marriage, in a way. Even though he did not love him in that way, he loved him platonically as a fellow best friend, but yeah. I personally think that Rick was bi. And as someone who is bi myself, even though it took quite a few years to figure out that I was bi, it actually makes me feel quite happy that a lot of my idols, felt sort of the same way. It makes me feel less alone. That was a lot of stuff. Drawing I did of his young one's character. Pretty good. Thank you. Here's one of what it would look like if me and him switched outfits. He would wear one of my hoodies, I would wear one of his Hawaiian shirts. What is up with my eyebrows? Ew!